IPM.
Look at this beauty. Anytime a man shows up wearing this hat, he's got stories to tell. Hello everybody, welcome back to Marsh's Tomatoes. I know everybody was anxious for the fall season to get here where it's finally here, and I promised you guys I was going to show you how to make the perfect turkey for your Thanksgiving dinner. So pretty simple process. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get our turkey, we're going to trim off some of the fat of it, we're going to get it where it's ready to go into a brine. The brine's going to be very simple. It's just going to be salt, water, and bay leaves. We're going to let it brine for about 8 to 10 hours. That's all. You don't need a 24, 48 hour brine for the way I do my turkey. Now, I'm not saying that if anyone else does it another way, it's wrong. This is just the way that I do it. So let us trim off some of this fat. You empty out the turkey. You know, obviously it's got the neck and side, and then up in here it will have the giblets to it, and this neck skin with all the fat, I like to trim it off. So I'm gonna trim that off, and then we'll put it into our brine. So just take one of our knives that we finally found a manufacturer that is gonna make a high quality knife for us, and we just trim that fat and neck skin off. Put it to the side. This little, whatever you call this, but it's what everybody sees in their turkey, and when it pops up, they know that it's done on the inside. We just take that out. I'm gonna know when the turkey's done. So we're gonna take the turkey, we're gonna prepare the brine, set it in the brine for 8 or 10 hours. So let me show you how to make the brine. Okay, so we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of just regular iodized salt. Again, we're only brining this turkey for about 8 hours. If you were gonna brine this turkey for 24 hours, this would be a little bit much salt. Then we'll add about a dozen bay leaves, just whole bay leaves, and about 4.5 gallons of warm water. Now the warm water is going to help dissolve the salt, and it's going to cool off quickly as I put the turkey in it. So as this is filling, we place our turkey in it, so that way we know not to overfill it. You don't want the turkey to displace so much water that it spills over onto the floor. Now this turkey is not going to get covered completely in this bucket. Oftentimes I would do this in a 5-gallon bucket where I could stand the turkey straight up in the bucket, but I will keep it this way for about the first 3 hours, and then I'll flip it over for about the next 3 or 4 hours, and it'll get fully brined. The brine will work its way up through the turkey, and the entirety of it will be brined. Once it's done, we'll take it out, we'll pat it down dry, we'll cut off the rest of the fat. If you look here, there's quite a bit of excess fat. We'll trim all that off, and then we'll get it patted off dry, seasoned up, and we'll put it in the oven. We'll show you that process when the time gets here. Now it's just a waiting game. About 3 hours like this, 3 hours after we flip it over, and then we'll put it in the oven. All right, so to make the perfect turkey, I like to make a stuffing to go in the turkey. That is not traditionally how it's done down here in South Louisiana, but I do like a stuffing in the turkey. So I'm gonna make a cornbread stuffing. Start off by making your cornbread well before your turkey gets started cooking. That way you've got time for it to cook, take it out of the oven, let it cool, so that way you can handle it. Everything is gonna be made homemade except for the cornbread. For the cornbread, I use Jiffy cornbread mix. It's a very simple procedure. I've got 2 boxes of cornbread mix, 2 eggs, 2/3 cup of milk. So we'll just mix all this together. Everyone knows how to do this process, no secret to it. Jiffy makes this as easy as possible for everybody. Your cast iron pan. So here, we're going to heat up our cast iron pan on a medium heat with about 3 pats of butter in the cast iron pan. Yes, I did sharpen this or clean this knife in between using it. Now we're going to let that butter go until the butter starts to turn slightly brown. We're going to actually show you that video here just in a moment. Okay, so the butter is browning, or it's melting, and it's going to start turning brown. We're going to make certain that all of the edges of the pan are also covered in butter. There is a little bit of water that's in butter, and it'll cook out as you're going. So what we're doing is basically just giving this pan time to heat up and make a crispy bottom on the bottom of the cornbread. That's not terribly important for a dressing, but for a traditional cornbread, a southern style cornbread, you want a crispy bottom, and you cook it in a cast iron. So once this is hot, we'll pour the cornbread mixture in it. It'll brown it, and then it'll go straight to the oven. Since the sides and all are buttered, once this is done cooking, we will pull it out of the oven, let it cool 20 minutes maybe. We'll turn it over, and if it all works out right, the entirety of it will just pop out of the pan. So now this pan is pretty warm now. The butter's starting to bubble, and a little bit of it is starting to turn brown. So we'll just pour our cornbread mixture into it. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it is sizzling as it hits the pan, which is exactly what we wanted. We want that hot pan to sear that bottom of this cornbread. Just kind of get it smoothed out throughout the pan. I'm going to let it cook for about 30 seconds or so, and then turn it off. Okay, so the cornbread is cooked for about 30 seconds. The pan is hot, so we're going to take the pan now, put it into the oven, which has been preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to let that cornbread cook. As soon as the cornbread is done, we're going to take it out, let it cool. That's going to be the basis of our dressing. At that point, I'll show you the next steps, the other parts that we're going to add to the dressing. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so the second part of the dressing mix is going to be a meat-based, sausage-based dressing, I guess. We're going to start with 2 cups of what everybody in South Louisiana knows as the Trinity, which is chopped celery, chopped bell peppers, and chopped onions. So I'm putting them into a large pan. It's a ceramic coated cast iron pan that was lightly coated with pecan oil. So now to the sausage. The sausage that we're going to use, I've got 2 lengths of smoked green onion sausage. So I'm going to just get this sausage and I'm going to chop it into pieces, chop it into fine pieces. Now, I wanted this smoked sausage. First off, I like the taste of green onion sausage, but secondly, I really wanted to have the bit of smoke flavor that comes with the smoked green onion sausage. All of this sausage is made fresh at a grocery here, and it's you know, some of it is sold as fresh and some of it is sold as smoked sausage. So I'm going to add the chopped green onion sausage to this mixture. And what that's going to do is it will release some of the fat. Even though this is a smoked sausage, it's still got some fat in it. And it's going to help to brown these vegetables a little bit better, a little bit darker. So I want these vegetables good and wilted, nice and brown. I want the good color, but I also want the flavor to be released where the onions are more sweet and the vegetables all kind of marry together for one consistent flavor. So we'll let that cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. During that time, I'm just going to remove the skins from these 2 Italian sausages. Now, the reason I bought these fresh Italian sausages, again, these are made by a local market here, is because I wanted the taste of the anise that is in these Italian sausages. So, 2 different sausages. One's a green onion sausage, the other is Italian sausage. They both start with the same base. Obviously, it's a pork sausage, but then different seasonings are added to them during the process. They're either sold as fresh or they're sold as smoked. Okay, so now that the vegetables have been browning for a little while with the smoked sausage, we're going to put this fresh Italian sausage in here, and we're going to cook it all down together. Now, remember, I'm cooking this while I'm cooking the cornbread, and this is all being done well before we start the turkey, because I want this to all be cool for me to be able to handle it to make the dressing, or the stuffing rather. Okay, so we have the 2 components to our stuffing already done and cooked. We're just going to let this cool so that way they're easy to manage. Once that's done, we'll mix them all together. I'll show you that process. And then halfway through the turkey cooking, we will put it inside the turkey at that point. We do not stuff the turkey prior to it cooking. It is a midway point thing. That way it alleviates the whole idea that people are afraid that the inside of the bird didn't get cooked well enough because of the stuffing. So we've taken out that mystery. We get the bird about done. Then we put the stuffing into the bird, put the bird back in the oven to brown, and the bird will come out nice and pretty with the stuffing in it. Okay, so we've got the cornbread, it's cooled off. We've got our other mixture, it's in this pan cooling off as well. So we're gonna see if our cornbread will flip for us here. And it did. It's so good to get lucky on video. So this cornbread, it's still a little bit warm, so I'm gonna let it cool for a little bit, but I'm gonna put it in this pan over here with this other stuff and just kind of break it up some. I don't want to fool with all of it just yet because it's not all completely cool enough for me to tolerate it. Okay, so I got the turkey out of the brine, and like I said, this excess fat back here, we just trim it off, get rid of it, no need for it, just makes extra grease in the bottom of the pan. We cut the tail off. I know a lot of people have some desire to eat that, but it's mostly just fat. So the portion that holds the legs together, this typically comes with the legs inside of it like that. So it holds the turkey together. Now, I'm indifferent if you use that or not. If you want to use it, that's fine. If you don't want to use it, you just pop it out of the turkey. So we don't use it But what I will do, I want my turkey to stay together, obviously, is I'm gonna take some butcher's twine. So I'm gonna tie it around one leg. And I know a lot of you are not very familiar with butcher's twine and how to tie it. And that's pretty understandable. Not everybody uses it. But what you're after is holding your turkey's legs in. So just figure it the best way that you can. Now, so the turkey's legs are held in. I want the wings held in as well. This one is pretty simple. Wrap it under the turkey, bring it up to the top. Just flip it one way, tie it, flip it the other way, and tie it. Sort of one way, now the other. Now that's gonna hold your wings together. You don't need a more extravagant knot than that. You can tie an extra knot if you want to lock it, but that will hold it together. This is gonna hold the legs together. Now, what I like to do at this point is I like to separate the skin from the breast as far in as I can without compromising the skin, without potentially tearing the skin. So I want it separated from the breast. Separate it as far as you can around the edges. And there you go. That's as far as up as I can get. You can see it started to tear here. So once you reach the point where your hand is going to tear it, stop. So here I'm gonna mix a stick of softened butter with about half a teaspoon of thyme, half a teaspoon of parsley flakes, and about a quarter of a teaspoon of celery seed. So we're just gonna mix this, mix it all together. This butter is going to be what we use to go underneath the skin of the turkey, between the turkey breast and the skin of the turkey. So I take my butter mixture, I put it under the skin of the turkey, hold it in there best I can, and just smash it around where it goes to where it'll melt down and carry those seasonings all throughout the entire inside of the turkey. The little bit that I have left, I would just put on the outside of the skin. Have a little bit left in the bowl. Just put it on the outside of the skin as well. So this turkey is almost done. So the last step for the turkey is just to get salt on it. And you can salt this very generously because you're going to lose quite a bit of this salt as the cooking process goes on. Now this is pink Himalayan salt. I do like it a lot. It's also worthy of note that I dried this turkey completely when I took it out of the brine. So now this is a 3-pepper mix. And we're gonna just put it on here as well. But then I'm also going to add just regular black pepper. This 3-pepper mix is excellent as adding the flavor that the other peppers bring to it. But I definitely like a little bit more black pepper. So now coat the turkey with black pepper pretty well. Don't forget the sides. Now, there's your turkey. Put it in the pan as it is. And then we're gonna wrap it with aluminum foil, put it in the oven at 250 degrees for 3.5 hours. This is a 15-pound turkey. Okay, so the turkey's been in the oven for about 4 hours. It was at 250 degrees. As you can see, I mean, it's plain to see that this turkey is not cooked. We are going to remove the turkey from the pan. Just in order to get rid of the grease that was in the pan. So I'm gonna just throw this in the trash. Okay, so while the turkey is out of the oven, we're going to add chicken broth to this stuffing mix. I'm not looking for a certain amount of chicken broth. This is all gonna just be kind of a consistency that I'm looking for. I want it to be a moldable, patable consistency that I can stuff into this turkey pretty well, pretty easily. I don't want it to be crumbly. I want it to be moist and, like I said, moldable, about like you would have a biscuit dough, or not quite as dense as a biscuit dough. So the rest of this chicken broth is going to go back into the bottom of this pan that the turkey is going to go into. So this turkey has been cooking for a while, so the legs are going to be pretty much set into where they're going to stay. So I cut the strings, the butcher's twine that I have around the legs. Just go ahead and cut it off. No need to have that when you bring it to the table. The wings also will stay as they are. So everything is pretty much firm in place. I've gotten my dressing to the point that I can handle it pretty well. It's not hot. It's moldable. Soft enough that I can get it into the turkey. Let me get another spoon. So I'm just shoving this into the turkey's cavity. I'm gonna fill the cavity with this dressing. Okay, so the turkey now is going to go back in the pan. It's going to go back into the oven uncovered for approximately another 1.5 to 2 hours. At the point of us taking it out, say a half hour prior to us taking it out, I'm going to remove this rack, set the turkey in the pan, and surround the turkey with these young potatoes and young carrots, and add that in there, and it'll cook in the chicken broth and will be part of your sides that you have. So back to the oven we go. So the turkey was in the oven at 350 uncovered for another 2 hours. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the turkey off this rack. Now you remember we put chicken broth in the bottom of this pan. So let me get my turkey forks. So with my turkey forks, I'm just gonna pick it up and I'm gonna put it directly in this pan. Open a bag of little potatoes. And we're gonna put some just around it, all the way around it. We're gonna let it cook in the let them all just cook in this chicken broth that we've placed in here. And we'll get a bag of baby carrots. We'll do exactly the same. Just pour them around. Let them cook in the chicken broth. So back in the oven this turkey goes. We're going to let it go in the oven just long enough for all of these vegetables to cook, which will be approximately 30 minutes. Now remember, we changed the oven temperature. We initially started at 250. We are now up at 350. Okay, everybody. So we put the turkey back in the oven, still at 350 degrees, until the vegetables were soft. I tested all of them to make certain they were soft. The turkey is completely done. There's one last step. I've got this nifty little tool here that has a needle that you screw on the end of it. And I'm going to take this chicken broth that I put in the bottom of the pan, and I'm going to use it to inject my turkey. So we just take this, and it's got the seasonings from all the turkey that we had put in it and all of that type of stuff. Sweetness from the carrots, the pepper from all the pepper, and the celery seeds that we put in it. Everything of that nature is in this little bit of chicken broth that's left in here. So just start here, punch a hole, squeeze. Punch a hole and squeeze. Punch a hole, squeeze. Punch a hole, squeeze. I even do the legs, do the thighs. So I do basically one of these tubes full per side of the turkey. So that was the first one. So, for all of you guys and girls that struggle with making the perfect turkey and making it look the way you want it to look for Thanksgiving, that should give you an idea of exactly how to get that accomplished.